All right, and we're recording. Well, thank you for joining us today for this. We're recording because we know that not everyone can. So this is the first of our, colleague connects, as we're calling them, for this school year. And we are really hoping that this is a time where we will, you can bring questions. I think I would like to say that that's our number one priority. That if you've got questions or you want to ask us or other districts or other state support teams, you can do that. We're always going to come with ideas, reminders, and some helpful information as well. So just that you all know that that's our priority. So do not hesitate to lean in, ask questions in some way. Make sure that you get your questions answered. And if you would go ahead and put your name and your district in the chat, and that would be great. And maybe let's do some introductions here, but really quickly, we'll do some introductions. Let me just, here's what we're thinking today. We want to share with you what we have learned from the early accomplishments survey and questions, and just want to share with you some of the awards that folks have gotten and some of the things that we're seeing on our end that are just really exciting for us. So we want to share that with you. And then, we know that, whenever you learn a new practice, a new program, you kind of work it out and you work toward doing it well. And so we want to kind of keep focused on that. What does it look like to do it well? And we know that that's different. There's some variations across all of our schools and communities, but there's also some things that we're going to see. We're going to see across. It look different. So we know that the family engagement, like all of our work, is part of that sort of continuous improvement cycle. We want to talk with you a little bit about the survey that is out now, the early action steps survey, and those response rates that we're seeing, and just want to encourage you to help get the best response rate we can, because our data is only really as good as that response rate. And so let me go back here and just maybe let's we can go to let me stop sharing for a minute, and if we go to our gallery view, and maybe we can just do some quick introductions. Hello, and where you're from, and maybe if you're new, or your role, that'd be great. And so I didn't introduce myself. I'll start by giving it by example. I'm Barbara Boone, and I direct Ohio Statewide Family Engagement Center, and I get to work with our fantastic team, as well as just a terrific, really supportive university that celebrates our work. I think I saw in our chat on our team, I didn't see it myself, that somehow we were recognized by the university today. Did that happen? Was I dreaming that?
No, that happened.
We were in On Campus Today, which is the email news that goes out every single day for OSU. So we were recognized for our summit on the 17th.
Yay. So that's great. When Ohio State at the university level knows that you're there and you're doing some good work, that's exciting for us. So, and our college recognized us in something else yesterday. So we're really just want you to know that this university embraces this work and really sees the work that you're doing as important, and is behind that. So I'm going to pass it off to Krista Allison, I think. Well, let's just go around and we'll mix up our team with all of you.
Good morning, I'm Krista Allison, and I'm representing State Support Team Region 9, which is in representing Stark, Wayne, and Holmes County. So it's a pleasure to be here and to see everyone. Happy new school year, or happy fall. Actually, it's fall now.
Happy fall, and it feels like fall. Thank you. Next person on my screen is Heidi, Dr. Heidi Oravash-Kamensky. Are you able to? I think she's coming on. There she is. Oh, you're mute. There you go.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask. I'm supposed to be in 2 other meetings at the same time, but I'm trying to listen in on this break a little bit. So I apologize. So
it's all right. Thanks, Heidi. We're recording for you.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
All right. The next person on my screen is Susan Larson.
Hi, I'm Susan Larson with State Support Team Region 12, new to this work, but working with a cohort 2 district and identifying a cohort 3, and I am in the southeastern corner really of the state. So, and like Heidi, I'm in that other meeting as well. So thanks for the recording, appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks, Susan. And Joseph Spicchia?
Good morning, Joe Spezia, Wickliffe City School District. Good to see you all.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining the meeting today. And Jill?
Good morning. I'm from Sebring Local Schools and we're in cohort 1, region 5.
Jill, glad you're here. And Dennis Dunnan.
Morning, everyone. Dennis Dunham, Superintendent Latonia Schools, Columbiana County, Northeastern Ohio.
Okay, you're here. Columbia County is like the most beautiful county, I think. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
Travis? Travis Dorsey.
Travis Dorsey, I'm the Dean of Students at Claremont Northeastern. We're excited to be a part of this. We've got 3 separate family engagement teams currently working in the district, and I kind of lead all of that together.
That's really exciting. We are been enjoying watching the work that you're doing, Travis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anne Blankenship.
Good morning, Annie Blankenship, Trotwood Madison City Schools. I'm Student Services Coordinator.
It's great to have you here. Steve Ramos from State Support Team 4 up in Northeast Ohio.
Hello, good morning. I'm Steve Ramos, and Region 4, I support schools in Lake and Geauga counties, specifically Cohort 1, which is Wickliffe, and Cohort 2, which is Fairport Harbor. And I will be also supporting Willoughby East Lake schools, which will be Cohort 3 for this year. Super excited to be here.
Great. Thanks, Steve. You're doing great work. Lisa Hunt.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Hunt, and I'm coming from Cleveland Heights University Heights City Schools, and I'm the Family Engagement Specialist here. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Thanks, Lisa. And Susan Koulianos.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Susan Koulianos from State Support Team Region 5. We support from Lake to River, Ashtabula, Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbiana, and I'm supporting my good friends, Ryan and Dennis from Latonia, Cohort 2.
All right, thanks, Susan. Mr. Donald.
Good morning, everybody. I am with Susan, unfortunately not in San Francisco. I'm with Susan and Dennis with Latonia Exempted Village School District. I'm our family school liaison.
Okay. Thanks for taking the time to be here. It's good to see you.
Absolutely, thank you.
Mr. Weber, Edward Weber.
Ed Weber from Wellington Exempted Village Schools in Lorain County.
Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
Josh Priest.
Good morning, I'm Josh Priest from State Support Team Region 2, serving Erie, Huron, and Lorain counties. And I have the pleasure of working with the Oberlin Phoenix and the Wellington Dukes for the NNPS grant.
All right, thanks, Josh. And now I know Dr. Wellman from our team at OSU.
Hello, good morning. Yep. You know me, Meredith Wellman from Ohio State. I'm the project lead for the Ohio Statewide Family Engagement Center. Good to be here.
All right. And Kristen, you probably hear a lot from Kristen. Here she is.
Hello, I am your communications guru. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Kristen. And Beth Crawford from OSU, from our team. She's helping manage our project.
Good morning, everyone. I saw some of you yesterday during our SST parent mentor realignment meeting. I am working on the NNPS implementation with doing project management. So it's good to see you all.
And Amy Luttrell. Amy, you're next on my screen.
Good morning, Amy Luttrell from State Support Team Region 14. So we're in Southwest Ohio. Our cohort 1 is Greenfield Exempted Village Schools, and cohort 2 is Adams County, Ohio Valley Schools. And we have our 3rd cohort ready to start this spring. So we're excited. Thank you.
We are looking forward to that. Thanks, Amy. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, I'm Tammy Cruz from State Support Team Region 1 in the Toledo area, and then hitting a couple of different borders. I have the pleasure of working with cohort 1, which is Toledo Public Schools. We have 2 charter schools in cohort 2, Discovery Academy and Summit Academy. And then Bowling Green Schools, we are hoping they will join us for cohort 3.
Oh, we are too. That would be exciting work with Bowling Green Schools. Thanks. Kim Brown.
Hi, good morning. I'm Kim Brown with SST 11. Our cohort 1 is Columbus City Schools, supported by Linda Gibson. I support Licking Heights local cohort 2, and Groveport Madison will be joining us in the spring for cohort 3, and I'll be working with them.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And Katie Marshall.
I'm Katie Marshall from SST 13 near the Cincinnati area. This is my first year in SST and I'm learning the work. So I'm just observing so that I can potentially work with cohort 3 as they get onboarded in the spring.
Oh boy, we always get excited when someone sort of jumps on board ahead of time. That's always exciting because we don't always have that privilege of getting something ahead of time. So we're glad you're here. I see Susan's pictures next on my screen. We've got to meet Susan. So Dana, I think Dana is the last person in our group this morning.
Yes, sorry. It's been a rough morning. Dana Kondorski, Union Local Elementary, we're in a cohort 2.
All right, it's good to see you, Dana. So thank you all for joining us. I know you are super busy folks, and I want to just keep us moving along and make sure that, can you all see my screen here?
Yep.
All right, so we were really excited that some of you were spoke about your practices, about how you're implementing this National Network of Partnership Schools, this partnership approach in your districts. And so on the screen, we see Seneca Bing and Jarima, who are from Columbus City Schools. They spoke about their work in Columbus and how they're scaling up in Columbus to have action teams for partnerships in all of their schools and how they're working to do that. And as you know, that's a heavy lift, but they've really got a great support system in place to do that. We also had TJ Dorsey from Claremont Northeastern spoke about their work there. And it's great to see that you're here for today's meeting, and Lisa Hunt from Cleveland Heights University Heights also. We are so appreciative of the fact that you all stepped up and provided information about how you're doing your work, because you are really great examples for other schools that are looking to improve their partnership programs with families and with their community, sort of working together in that partnership approach. So, and you are, another aspect is that the National Network of Partnership Schools at Johns Hopkins and Dr. Joyce Epstein and her team have recognized Ohio schools and actually our statewide Family Engagement Center, our project with all of you, we were recognized in their promising practices for this year. So that's sort of a national award from Johns Hopkins. And so we at our center received a partnership award for our meeting today, for these colleague connects that we have together, where we have a group coming together who are all implementing together and have regular meetings together. So, and then also the end of year celebration, that is an important part of NNPS, is sort of recognizing the work. And so that was something featured. But also Cleveland Heights University Heights, their Noble Elementary School, which is one of the schools in their district that is focusing on implementing this partnership approach, received an award for their Passport to Partnership practice. So that would be, if you think about your action plan and you think about on your plan, one of your action steps, your strategies that you're implementing, their Passport to Partnership was one of those action steps in their plan. So we're excited for them. And then what we also want to show you is that there are other districts and schools in Ohio that are implementing this program and have been for a long time, and they are also recognized there. So they're not necessarily a part of our group, as we are all working together sort of as a network, but they have taken this on either as their district on their own or as a school, and they are also receiving awards. So it's great to see that Ohio has really got lots of examples of awardees at the national level for implementing this partnership approach. So we just think that's exciting. We think, and so you can see that as members of the network, you all will get the promising practices, and you can look for these schools as well as others across the country there. So. Okay, so I think what we let's see what we let's see, you also, oh, there you go. Sorry, I wasn't sure what you were seeing and what I was seeing here. So this is where we are and sort of where we're going. And Meredith, I just want to check in with you that I'm on target here for.
I think we were going to offer, if other people wanted to share their, in the slide before this, share.
Yeah, let's do that.
Any sort of early accomplishments this school year, or questions you brought with you today. Now is the time to kind of unmute and share what's going on.
Yeah.
I'd share a little thing that we did this year. We had a back to school bash, our first one we've done, and we had a really large turnout, and it was fun, and kids and parents and school employees all gave positive feedback of it. And just shout outs to Josh helped us, but also my elementary school principal, Dr. Janet Kubisak. She did just a fabulous job with it, and our community partners. So we're certainly looking at, we were even wowed that our families were wowed. So we look forward to next year on growing that, and then supporting this is hopefully a big rebound year for us.
Hi, thanks for sharing that. What a great way to sort of kick off this year. And it reminds me of Dr. Epstein when she says that this work often brings joy to it, this work. And then the way you were smiling and describing that was just such a great example of that. But it sounds like you had community collaboration in there and communicate. You had so many of those 6 types all woven into that. So thanks for sharing about that. And we'd love to hear more and be able to have other schools be able to see how you did that. So thanks for sharing. Anybody have any questions about that? Yeah.
Back in April 23rd, we had a first ever community festival. We had 28 of our local agencies, mental health, drug and alcohol, insurance plans, children's services. We had a big family festival for our kids. We had over 350 people in attendance. So it was wonderful. There was a lot of collaborating and networking between parents and students and the different agencies that are available throughout our county to assist our families. So that was a really good turnout. I had actually reached out to Joyce about maybe writing an article for the journals and, kind of getting some feedback from our families about that. And here in about a month or so, we're doing our first ever Latonia School golf outing. So we're going to raise money for our Student Success and Wellness Fund.
You're busy. Those are great to hear. Other examples. Thank you.
We have 2 that we'd like to share very quickly. Earlier this year, right before the school year started, we had, call it what you will, a back to school bash through our Family Resource Center. We gave school supplies, backpacks, clothing, all sorts of things to about 200 different students. We also did haircuts. We had a local barber college come in, and they did over 100 haircuts for our kids, all for free. And then we turned around, and our open house at the middle school this year was an exciting event in that we invited area agencies, everything from bakeries to entrepreneurs to the public library to do an activity fair with the students. And our attendance was extraordinary. About 80% of our students' families participated. So it was 2 good events early in the school year, both thanks to our Family Resource Center and also our middle school team and NNPS in particular. So thank you.
Well, this is great to hear. What after some of the things we've all been experiencing last year, to just have these very very welcoming and fun and everyone sort of lots of participation. That's great to hear, and how you brought together several different things. Your partnership, your NNPS as well. So that's
Dr.
great.
Ben,
Yeah.
I just wanted to share also that when you were saying about bringing things together, one thing that I think is going to be really successful for Latonia is We have Ryan not only involved in NNPS, but we put him also on the PBIS team. And in return, Dennis decided that we would put him on the DLT. So to have him involved in all of those entities, we're trying to bring them together. And I think that's really important instead of being separate.
Yeah.
Those PBIS and NNPS and DLT, we're all talking that same language. And I think that will be very successful because we don't want to work in silos. We want to work together.
That is, yeah. That is terrific work. Something we are so excited to hear and really advocate for is bringing it together so that your district leadership team, your person thinking about family engagement, you're there and you're hearing that and you're seeing the connections and making the connections. And then our family engagement efforts become part of that discussion. They're on the agenda at that level. And that informs the planning. And also PBIS, I think that's really fabulous because parents are really part of that multi-tiered system of supports. You know, what are we doing for all students and targeted interventions and intensive, like families are a part of that. So making those connections there too are just wonderful. And I love how you saw that your action plan that you're writing for your partnership programs with us, and your PBIS and that's all one plan. And I'm so glad that you have knit that together. That is exactly the approach that we really want to see and want to advocate for. So thanks for sharing that.
Barbara, can I add something?
Sure.
We at Sebring, we did an end of summer bash, and what was interesting, we partnered with our friends at the Sebring Parks because that's an initiative in our community to get families back in the parks, to do free things in the park. But with our other partners, we did this, but in our scavenger hunt that was throughout the entire park, and we had just about 200 students and family members in attendance and different people in our community. We incorporated our PBIS purple positives in the scavenger hunt for the Feed the Locker. And one of our staff did one of the clues. She was there. And what was interesting is students were discussing with their family members what the purple positives are, what the 4 purple positives were. Also, we had some students from Salem that were there, families, extended family, and some from Alliance and even our West Branch School District. But they were learning our purple positives. So that was quite interesting for us that was a big push that we incorporated in the scavenger hunt. And the families were actually working with their students. And the students were helping other families learn what the purple positives were to find the clue. So that was pretty nice for us, and partnering with the parks for our small community has been a big push this year. And friends of the Sebring Parks have been wanting to partner with us because the more we get families engaged in the park, it'll translate into the school district as well.
That is just such a smart plan right there. You know, that you didn't just, jump in and say, let's do something with the parks, but like, let's get families. To me, that's learning at home. Like if I think about the 6 types of this model, you were supporting learning at home. You had a community collaboration, another of the 6 types. You also had your behavioral plan in there, your PBIS. There's so many, and communication, there's so many ways that one example shows how you wove all of those things together, that each of the 6 types isn't siloed, and PBIS isn't siloed from family engagement, isn't siloed from communication. That's a great example, Jill. It's one of those events that I'm like, I wish I was there. So what a great description. Other examples? And Meredith added also this idea that families talking together, and and building their network of friends too. So getting families out, seeing other families, learning with their children. That's another powerful way of engaging families, is for families to see other families, sort of that modeling almost. So families seeing one another, learning together, being outdoors together. It's interesting too, if we think about, you all could have sent home the purple positives in a handbook and said, here they are. But in addition to, here's this very engaging, fun, family-friendly activity that helps families experience the purple positives in a really fun and engaging way. Yeah, thanks for that.
Barbara, we also included math. So we have what's called Southside 2. So we included a math problem in there as well. So we tried to make it well-rounded, and the students and families had a great time, and the volunteers had fun as well. And that we ended it with the Friends of the Park sponsored a movie in the park. That was the end of the event. And PIE did the refreshments. So we're trying to roll stuff together because we're a small community and you have a lot of the same individuals involved in a lot of the different groups. How do we roll that together? And even our police department is pushing a community initiative this year as well. Getting back in the community, everybody working together.
Well, thanks, Jill. What's also clear in there is like those, we talk about our plans being student focused. So what is that student outcome? That we're engaging families toward a student outcome. So I heard we have math goals, and I hear behavioral goals. I hear families learning together. So many of those sort of goals that we have for students are embodied in this thing that was just a great experience. So, but I could clearly see that we are student goal focused in that. So, are there questions? We're given examples, but other questions for our team at OSU or the group here that you all might have, or examples?
Barbara, I know starting in the next month or two, we are starting to coordinate some family fun nights here at the school. We're going to have families come in during Christmas time for, popcorn and a movie. They could wear their pajamas. We're planning on doing some sort of, dodgeball, kickball tournament between the staff and the students. We're going to do a family feud game night. So we're really trying our hardest to get these families engaged in our school as much as possible. So I kind of figured that would go along with NNPS as well.
It does. It does. So here's our challenge. Our challenge is to think, what is that? What are we wanting for students? So are we wanting could be that academic goal. So we're trying to rate, or it could be a behavioral goal, could be that school climate goal. It's keeping that in the forefront. And I think that's why in the template, the planning template, it's not a magical template, but why it's kind of at the top. And so then as we look at each of the things that we're doing, how are we supporting and contributing to that and keeping that in mind? So that's because sometimes, and I know we're doers and we're planners, and so we all, there's that fun thing, like let's bring that in, but really kind of coming back to say, how does that align to the goal? Just like we do with instruction, with our classroom time, with other efforts in our schools. So that's the charge that you have with your planning team is, keeping that goal or goals in mind as you're, and how does it connect to, just as you're all thinking about this. So events are sort of a space and time, and you all have spoken about some fabulously successful, impactful events. And so those are great. And then what we also want to think about, though, is how they connect to that ongoing communication we're having with families, that's ongoing interactions with families. They can boost them, they can add excitement to them, they can sort of bring energy to it. but they are part of sort of like an ongoing work that we're doing with families. So Ryan, that sounds like a great plan, and you're in the midst of like really making it engaging and fun. You know, nobody wants to do something that's work or dry or just boring, right? You're making it engaging. And I truly think that when we, as our staff and our families play together, that's a whole level of interaction that I think really helps us to build relationships, as
And a
opposed
lot
if
of
we're kind of,
connections can be made.
yeah, if we're always kind of keeping our guard up and keeping, but if we actually sort of become, you know, we do some human things together, we eat together, we play together, that can help us when we have to have those tougher discussions together. So great work. Yeah.
Thank you.
Dr. Boone, I think that's so important to make sure that it's connecting to a goal. And one of the goals that they're working on, and Latonia is working on, their chronic absenteeism. So we're hoping that if we bring families in and students are excited about being in school, that chronic absenteeism is not going to be a problem. It won't be one of our refinements. It will be something to celebrate, is that we have better attendance. So I think that is so important, is that we have to have, what's the big picture that we're trying to change or alter, and how are we going to get there, instead of just having these single events, but what's that feeling feel like every single day?
Right.
And that's so important.
The consistency part.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Another challenge that we have, and I'm so glad you brought this up as something you're kind of thinking about, and you've got this attendance goal in mind, and we've got chronic attendance, is to think about, if I think about this in a tiered, you know, so we've got chronic, so what do you're already doing things that are, you're doing incentives, you're doing these positive nights, you're promoting attendance, it's for all, you're reaching all. That's your work, you know. And then what about those students that are at risk, right? There's some red flag, that level of attendance there. So how are we engaging those families in a maybe a more targeted way? So maybe it's more frequent connection with those families. Maybe it's a different program for those families. Maybe it's more intensive. So you know what I'm saying? So if we have a student who's is not attending school, we've got that red flag, you know, they've missed so many days. For us only to have the fun night, well, that's, you know, we want to have that. So if you can think, you can take that tiered approach that you all use with instruction, you use it with PBIS and other things, and layer that into your family engagement action plan around attendance, and think, okay, we're doing these whole school things that are engaging families around attendance. Every family we're trying to reach through this. Maybe those who we don't reach for some reason, they never come to an event. What's that thing we're going to do a little bit differently there? Or the family of the student. So we're looking at our data, and it's data. When a family does not attend or come, that's data telling us we need a different approach. Okay. And then, or student data, student attendance data, another thing, you know, that's another approach, or another data indicator, like, gonna need, so maybe that's line 2 of an action plan, or 3. That this is our targeted, it's not for everyone. It's not our tier 1, it's our tier 2 for families that maybe, you know, we have student data or family data telling us our tier 1's not working. And then your tier 3 then is, of course, you have a family who's, you know, they've got a kid involved in the juvenile justice system. They got a medical issue. You know, they really need intensive individualized supports to support their child's attendance. So, and that can just is like a line in your family action plan.
Right.
So you can almost think about that family action plan as being like your tiered support plan, in a sense, for attendance. And I love how you're weaving it together. So you're thinking, for some of our families, we're trying to change that. We don't want them to be afraid of the school, reticent of the school. The school is different. The school is scary, or what, you know, you're welcoming, you're creating that climate. And that's a wonderful whole school approach. And then we have these other approaches that we can build in there that, as you can see, help it to become more robust, because we're accounting for more families. We're going to touch base with more families that way. If, say, our families who are English learners aren't coming or aren't attending, you know, something like that. Thank you so much for sharing that and letting me sort of, you know, go on a little bit, expand the idea about that a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other thoughts, other planning or things that are coming up? Questions from the group? Yeah, Lisa.
You always got to find that mute button, right?
Yeah, it disappears.
As soon as you need it, it hides. So we're working on expanding the NNPS partnership for 2 new schools. I love that the schools that we're looking to partner either have an early childhood connection to NNPS, and so it feels like it's scaling up. Oftentimes that beautiful framework was being implemented in our early childhood centers, and then it just kind of fell off like a cliff. But we had sort of traditional PTA and other family engagement efforts, but it's just not the same when you're really intentional about how you're connecting with families. And so I'm really excited to see those 2 schools really embrace it, because also families kind of felt disconnected. Like the early childhood families were still kind of in this selection phase of where will we be going to kindergarten. So I think it's a great way to really pull those families together and make them feel like they're part of the ecology of the school, and that they really are an important partner. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking at trying to establish some benchmarks, because family engagement and equity are a part of our building level action plans. How do I support our leaders who are also supporting their staff, and really looking at what we do and how are we doing it, not from this sort of like, it's great, we're having a great time, which is awesome. We want that, but what are we doing well? And where do we need to improve? And really just having some data points on that. So I love that. I worked with my SST support, Patty Porta. I don't know if she's out there. Shout out, Patty. But we looked at the NNPS evaluation. It's a needs assessment. And so we're going to really I'm trying to push that out. So I get to like introduce it to our district leaders, I think today. And then, yeah, a little scary, but we created a Google form. And so I think just getting an idea on, is this tool going to be too time consuming for a bunch of stakeholders to really take advantage of, is we're testing it. So we're looking at 3 pillars from the framework. So communication, learning at home, and collaborating with the community. So I'm hoping, we get some baseline data from those who are participating, and it will give us some ideas on what we can do better and keep our cycle of growth going too. So wish me some luck.
I like that you're picking like specific ones that you feel like are most important. That's really cool. And let us know how it goes. And if you want to share the Google form, that way we can have an example of what you've done. That would be really cool. Thanks, Lisa, for sharing.
It is. There's a lot. This is a lot to take on. And so choosing those focuses and knowing, we can grow, and the whole idea, you started with a couple schools, now expanding to a couple more schools, and building as you can and have the capacity to do that. That's just a great approach, Lisa. Thanks for sharing that. And I hope it goes well. I know it's going to go well. You are a great leader. Other questions or things to share?
One thing so I've been taking a look at some of the plans for this year as we, work to understand this network and how it's growing and changing from year to year in the plans. And one thing that I would just encourage you to do in the, as you read your plans and reflect on them and use them throughout the year, is to kind of go back and forth between looking at what's written in the activities and what the specific SMART goal is. And so if you could reflect on, are these activities enough dosage to get to the goal at the top? So sometimes we start with that goal and we say, we want to increase our ELA scores by 20%. And then we write our activities, but I don't know that we ever kind of go back and say, is that activity, is that series of activities going to create a 20% bump? what is actually realistic? Because there's no one that's telling you you have to have a 20% bump in 1 year. So think about what makes sense. So, you know, and feel free to go back and say, you know, yes, these are the activities we really want to do, but we think they're going to create more of like a 5% or a 10% bump. Revise your SMART goal, make it smart, make it realistic, or say, no, we want a 20% bump. So what are more high impact, low effort activities we can try out? Maybe it's not that event that takes 3 months of planning for our teams. Maybe it's crafting. Some of you do messages to families about the high priority learning targets at the beginning of each learning unit. So is that going to create more of a 20% increase in reading scores versus a huge event? I mean, you know, you got to think a little bit smart about what are those high impact, low effort activities? Because you know, the teachers are busy, the families are busy. So what is going to create that impact on the actual goals that we have? So just something I was thinking about as I was reviewing things.
Yeah, Meredith brings up that that idea of dosage. Like, if we really want our families to be able to do X, Y, Z, is what we're doing enough to help them get to do X, Y, Z? Or how do we use that event along with some communications and another event, or some other interactions with them that will then help them, or resources home. So we provide resources, we have an event, we have communications with them, and all of that works together towards that. So that's a great example. And I see we're talking about home visits, and home visits can be fabulous. I think of them often as like a tier 3, like a top tier, something that we can sometimes leverage because they're high intensity. They're a lot of time and effort. That you know, if we're using them sort of towards attendance, or you know, some other goal that we have in way of supporting a family, or a family that is just not responsive, and so we want to, you know, we've tried a couple different ways, and now we're going to try a very personal touch. So I think home visits can be something that we leverage for that. Sometimes we see schools try to implement them school-wide, and as like almost a tier 1, like everybody gets this, but that's not often realistic because of time and energy and funding and all of that. But to keep them in our back pocket as this is a strategy we use in this case toward the same goal that we have, you know, we do other family engagement strategies for, but it's great to see that some of you are using that. That's definitely one to use. So, great. Maybe we'll move along here a little bit to share with you a couple other things. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. So we want to share some updates with you. So we have, if you are in sort of the first cohort, this time last year in the fall, we're kicking off our second year. And so you're in the process of using your detailed plans, trying new things, approving. You know, when we see your second year plan come in and it looks like last year, but you've changed it up a little bit, maybe added something, maybe improved on some things, maybe taken something off that didn't work. You know, we don't expect to see radically different plans every year, right? We're continuing to improve on things. And with our cohort 2, you're kicking off your first year, and you will have received the early action step surveys for your district leader and your action team for partnerships. We really want to encourage you as a district leader, if you have not already completed that, to please complete that. If you're an SST coach here, if you would please work with the district leaders that you're meeting with to encourage them to complete the early action step survey. And if you're a district leader, also, if you would help your action team for partnerships, helping your school leader and those team members to find the time and make that a priority for them to complete that by October 15th. We appreciate your help with that. Meredith, would you like to step in here, or shall I keep going?
You're good. I think you can keep going.
Okay. Okay. So we want to, as we think about, well, where are we now? Anchoring that back into the handbook, which, if you're like me, it's always nearby. I'm always referring to it. If you take a look at pages 326 and 327, there are some great sort of things there to kind of maybe help us keep focused. And I'm getting to that page here myself. We kind of have it summarized here. But when we look at that page, there are there's some pointers there to kind of keep out in front of you as you're thinking about your program, and just sort of how are things going? How are the structures in place? Are the process in place? So, do we have action teams in each of our buildings? How are they working? Are they meeting regularly? Do we have families on board? Do we need to recruit a different teacher, a different family member to make sure we've got this representative team? So how's our team doing? Are they meeting? Are they working the plan? Are they, and how are they sort of in that cycle of improving on it as they go, knowing that you're not writing these plans in stone, we can refine them along the way. We're also looking to see who are we connecting with? Are we reaching all families? Do we need to maybe go a little deeper, think about that tier 2 type of outreach? How are we doing at sort of making sure that all families have an opportunity to engage in our, and so we're measuring through that quality over time. And so you're participating in an evaluation process, but that also is ongoing. And also, if you would be looking at, that as you're getting feedback from folks, that we're listening to families, we're listening to school staff and their experience and the community partners that we're working with. So after that great event at the park, coming back together and evaluating that together so that as we move forward into the next steps, you will, you'll be able to kind of keep going in that continuous improvement cycle. But I do point out to you as a district leader or as a state support team leader, if you would take a look at those bullets on page 326, 327, that information, and just kind of have some conversations and kind of a check-in about the progress that you're having. So in line with this guidance, we are taking a look at your plans. That's something that we do. So that helps us to know when we work with Dr. Epstein, we look at your plans and we say, this is what we're seeing across Ohio. Here's where we'd like to, to focus with her on her continually and providing training for you. So once again, Meredith, I'm asking if you want to jump in here or want me to keep going?
Oh, sure, I can.
Okay. And just tell me when to advance.
Okay, you can do a couple more. So like Dr. Boone said, we're kind of following the NNPS handbook's lead. So first, are those structures in place? Do you have a team? Does it include 3+ families? Is there a plan in place? Has it been submitted to us so we can verify that? And then we start looking at the actual activities. So are they clearly linked to the overall goal or strategy? So could you kind of list that at the top? Did you fill out the box that said, what are the expected results? Do the activities have a specified timeline? I know sometimes when you're making the plans in the spring, there's kind of a loose, like, it'll say between August and April. So that's basically like sometime during the school year. So as you get a little bit more sense for when things are going to happen, you could get more specific. That way, each month when you do your check-in, you can say, okay, are we on track? Are we where we want to be for this? Also, we look to see if you have resources, and that could be staff or other resources, funds associated with the activity kind of listed in there. Do you have a plan for how it's going to be evaluated? And this can be, it can be an informal evaluation. That's fine. It can be, you can talk to families who participate in events and services. You can also do more of those formal evaluation activities. You can use the NNPS resources. So we're not always looking for, a survey necessarily. It can be more informal than that. And then we look to see if activities are in support of family engagement and not just student engagement. So I think this is an important point. So sometimes in the plans, we notice that things are very tied to student learning, but we don't see the word families mentioned necessarily. So, or there will be something like connect to a newsletter, but it's not necessarily specified like that who the newsletter goes to. So as you're reviewing your plans, consider, are we engaging families, or are we kind of making an assumption that by doing something with students, it's going to sort of equip families better? If you have a good rationale for that, then it is a family engagement strategy. But if you're really just writing things in there that are more like student engagement, then you may need to rethink those activities. And okay, so those are great. Those are good things to do, but what are we doing to better equip families or weave in their strengths or get them as part of this student learning process? All right, so I thought we'd pull together some ideas from your plans because you have good ideas and we want to share those. So one district leader submitted a plan that included creating a family advisory group. And this group will be tasked with learning the NNPS framework, helping align programs across the district, and helping gauge progress and build awareness and celebrate success. So this is beyond the ATP that at the school level. This is a district level family advisory group. It's going to launch in August, so there's a nice clear timeline there. Many district staff are contributing to making it happen: a family engagement specialist, a partnership supervisor, office of the superintendent. And in terms of evaluation, there's going to be an annual pre and post survey. They'll be establishing goals, key performance indicators. So these are kind of some of those expected results, and they're going to measure the number of district-wide stakeholder connections. So I think this is a great Ohio example. It's at the district level, but it actually very actively engages families in decision-making and in the process of school improvement. So I think this is like a 6 out of 6. This is a great example that kind of hits all those markers. The form was fully filled out, but also it made sense. It was actually a family engagement strategy. And just a side note, several examples have been added to your Ohio NNPS webpage. I de-identified some of the actual plans so that if you're wanting some inspiration from one of your colleagues, you can go on the website. And then if you scroll down past the training records, there's like an Ohio example section on there. Here's another great Ohio example. One school team submitted a plan to improve reading skills. So 75% of all students will meet their personal growth goal. So this is a nice specific SMART goal for the plan. And there were 3 activities listed below that goal. So there was 2 activities were high impact, I would say, like we rated them high impact. It was a school-wide book club and a guest reader program, and both were logically connected to family engagement. And then the third one I thought we could take a look at together. So the third one was, nope, go back,
right?
sorry.
No, sorry.
The third activity within this goal example was to utilize means of communication to promote a village club. So the form was filled out, the NNPS plan for partnerships was filled out. It was clearly connected to an NNPS type. There were resources, staffing, a timeline, but it wasn't clear how it linked to that student map test reading goal. So there's always room for improvement. This, I assume, is going to be a very high impact strategy, but I just wasn't sure when I was reviewing it in the plan. So something to think about, maybe being a bit more specific about what that village club is and why it logically links to a reading goal.
Meredith?
Yeah.
If I could, this is Tammy Cruz from State Support Team 1. If I could just jump in really quick, because I recognize this goal from one of my schools.
You're
that I'm
outing
working
yourself,
with.
Tammy.
I am. I'm outing myself. But
go for it.
I had to ask them this too about what is the Village Club. And actually, that is what they have renamed their ATP.
Oh,
so it's because
fascinating.
because it takes a village to raise a child.
I love
they
it.
are the Village Club or the Village Project. And
are they the village people as well?
So they want to promote the
it.
awareness of it, to have more participation in it, and therefore support all of the goals in the school. So
perfect. Well, then that's a 6 out of 6. I think that's a great goal.
We could tweak
Thank
that a
you
little
for
bit to make sure that what the village club is a little bit more clear, because I did have to ask them the same thing. I'm like, where did this come from? What is this?
I even
their
Googled it. I was
ATP.
like, is it something on the district website? And I was like, I can't find this village club. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's
Thank
something
you.
they
Thank you
have
for sharing.
created and renamed their ATP.
I love it. Personalizing it. That's great. All right. I think we're ready for example 3. And I know some of you are going to have to skedaddle, and that's fine. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to go through one more example and then we'll wrap up for today talking about our response rate. All right, so we have a high school example here. So one high school team submitted a plan to decrease math failures, grades 9 through 12. I thought this was really cool. They're doing videos of flipped math lessons from 3 teachers, parents, and community members. So short, simple examples of how to solve problems. They identified staff that will support the work. They drafted out that it would happen kind of between September and April. And then they, specified what the costs would be. It's engaging families. Families are going to be involved in those flipped math lessons, which is super cool. And it's linked to their goal of decreasing math failures. So I gave this one a 6 out of 6. I thought it was a great example, a very cool idea.
And those examples are and are on your webpage on our website. So link there. I'm going to go, I think we covered some of those leadership topics a little bit earlier. So I think in our last few minutes here, we wanted to get to this point about those early action steps surveys. We have currently received 4 of our 6 new coaches. So state support team coaches, if you have not completed if you're a new coach and have not completed it, please do.
And cohort 2 as well, just cohort 2.
Yes, just cohort 2. And then our district leaders from cohort 2. We have heard from 14 of 22. We'd love to hear from everyone. That really helps us to have a better idea of
around today.
all that's going on. And then we've heard from 83 action team members from 21 of the 37 teams. So once again, if our state support team coaches or district leaders, if you can work with your building level teams to just kind of raise it to their attention, and also just request that of them, and if there's anything sort of keeping them from responding or any way that you can help them participate in that, we would appreciate. We would like to be able to include the perspectives of all of the teams from all of the schools and in all of the districts. So, all right, and then you've got the link to the survey also that you can just grab right out of the chat if you would like to do that. So just upcoming events for your radar. So what we've done is we are working with Dr. Epstein to have 2 half-day trainings that are tailored to you all. So as we look at the plans, as we talk to all of you in these meetings, as we look at your survey responses, this helps us and design these. So she is going to provide that half-day training on October 22nd, and our next meeting of this group will be October 28th. So those are the things that are coming up, but the full schedule of trainings, in case you're yes, Tammy, the training will be recorded and we'll post that on the website for you, like all of the other trainings in this meeting as well. So please make sure those are on your, but also the entire schedule of events, of course. I know we've sent that out, but that's on the website as well. So if you will please make sure that you've got those dates reserved so you can, you're putting things into practice, you're implementing, and so now we get to sort of refine that and make sure that we're implementing things with fidelity, and then we're putting up that strong program of practice that is going to be sustained. We're sort of changing business, changing how we do things, and we're going to sustain that. And that's what we hope will be helpful, is to continue to meet with Dr. Epstein in that way.
Barbara, did you guys have times for those half-day events? I know the 22nd is 9 to noon. Is it the same for the 28th?
I believe it is. Kristen, can
Okay.
I just double check where Meredith is?
So October 28th is a Colleague Connect meeting. The next,
that's like this one, 10 to 11.
Okay.
The next half-day training after October 22nd is January 21st. And I believe that one is also a 9 to noon.
Yes.
So
9 to
there's
noon.
2 half days, but they're October and January.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for asking. Well, with that, we just want to wrap things up and thank you so much for taking your time this morning. I know you are all the busiest people we know. And so we know that you're taking time to be with us is really important to us. So we will have this recording available. We're always available via email, phone, Zoom to meet with you about any of your questions. So thanks again for the work that you're doing in your partnership with us. And with that, I'm going to end today and wish you a happy Thursday and a happy weekend. It's a beautiful time in Ohio.
Bye, guys.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming, Ryan. Bye, Tammy. Bye, Krista. Bye, Jill.